Welcome back to the Future of Figure Skating. My name's Anna Keller, and my guest today is Peter Grütter. Peter competed in international competition representing Switzerland throughout the 1950s and 60s, including at the 1964 Winter Olympic Games in Innsbruck. He's now been a coach for more than 60 years and is acknowledged as an expert when it comes to steps and turns and control of the blade. His most famous student is Stéphane Lambiel, who he coached to 2 world championship titles and the Olympic silver medal in 2006. After the end of compulsory figures, Peter took what he had learned from his coach, the legendary Jack Gershweiler, and created a series of warm-up steps and turns that could be used for his students to maintain their mastery of the blade. These steps and turns are now available as an e-learning course through the ISU's eRink program. Peter still teaches, including coming every Wednesday to the Skating School of Switzerland in Champery to work with young skaters. We were very lucky to be able to watch his masterclass during the 2024 summer camp in Champery and to get to sit down with this great coach to learn about his ideas for the future of the sport. So I'm here in Champery with Peter Grütter. It's a real honor to get to speak with you. Thanks so much for doing the podcast.
I'm very happy to be with you, Anna.
So today is the first show for Stéphane Lambiel's Apprenti Sorcière, and this is also representing, I think, 10 years for the Skating School of Switzerland being here. And you've been a little part of this since Stéphane started it. So I just wanted to start off with, how does it feel for you now seeing your former student now having students of his own and building this school in Champery?
Well, it's very exciting for me. The whole thing was an adventure, of course, with Stefan, and I'm very curious to see the show tonight. I have seen bits and parts in practice, but of course, it's never the same. And it's exciting that he steps in my footsteps, that he does also uh, coaching, and that he had already a great success. So we had, of course, an adventure over 20 years, I think. And since he opened the school here, I'm a bit a part of it. I will come every Wednesday this is the big day when the kids are free from school, so he needed more coaching. And I was very flattered that he still wants to have the grandfather to help him, at least with the little ones.
Yeah, it was really great to be able to see you working some with the students who are here for the summer camp as well, and teaching them some of these exercises that then we see the big skaters from the school go on and use when they're warming up in competition and everything. It's really a wonderful thing to see that connection between all of that teaching. I wanted to ask you, really, going back to, how did you first get into skating?
I got into skating because my mother was a dressmaker, and she liked to make dresses for me. And we had a costume festival on ice with Prime. We got for the best idea, for the best costume. It had to be homemade, of course, not bought. And that's how I started when I was 6, maybe, but I skated forward, that's it. I had even 2 girls who holded me at the first year. And when I got a bit older, she said to me, now you're too old, you cannot do this costume festival anymore, it's for little kids. But during this festival was always a program of figure skating. And of course, there was no television. That's the first time I saw figure skating was there. And so I said, okay, if I cannot do the festival, I want to be a part in the program. That's how I actually started. And of course, it was nothing like today. The rinks were open air. We had in Switzerland maybe 5 to 6 artificial ice rinks. The one in Bern where I started was also artificial. So we had ice from end of October till beginning of March, and that's it. And now we have over 100 rinks. You see, the evolution is enormous, but it was tough. We were much less skaters. I think in every country it was the same. And so it was, I had at the beginning not very good coaches. They changed every year. Every year we had a new coach, and we had to learn different things because they didn't want to take over from the other coaches. So it was a bit of a struggle at the beginning. And that's a pity because I knew that we had a Swiss coach, but he was teaching in London. The English pound was 12 francs. And it was just for millionaires to be able to go to London and skate with him there all year, because you had to go to private school. The ice skating was very expensive in London. So there was no way I could go there. But I heard in the junior championship, when I first participated, he said to somebody, thinking that I don't hear it, he said, "Oh, if this little guy would know how to do it, he is very talented." And so, yeah, that was, but there was no way. I discussed it with my mom, and she said, "No, no, this is, and we cannot afford that. This is really very, very expensive." So I had to wait until he came back. And then when he came back to the country, so I was lucky to have this Jack Gershweiler as a coach. He taught me actually everything again from the beginning on, but at least there was a solid system that I can give away nowadays.
Yeah, and so you got to learn with him from one of the people who really made skating what it is, in terms of the innovation, of so many different elements with the students and all of this. What was he like as a coach?
As a coach, he was very strict. He he was not shouting. He was just explaining, but he himself had to create this method and this system because himself he had lousy coaches, and he said we have to learn things and we don't know why. And he had a system, and we always knew why we do something. That's very important. And I think even nowadays it's important that we know why we do something, and we have to explain this to the kids. And it's also fine. Sometimes the kids, they work on their own, and if they have a system that they can relate, they can correct themselves. They don't need constantly a coach next to them. And I think this is what is important in coaching. We have to be able to give to the kids that they can work also alone.
Mm-hmm.
I know other countries, they don't have that system. They always have coaches around or assistant coaches, and the kids are never alone. But I think it's like, if you have your school teacher always next to you, you go home and you do your homework on your own.
Yeah.
Maybe you're helped by your parents, but I think it should be a sport for intelligent people.
Mm. Yeah, so
But
you had,
it is a
yes.
sport for intelligent people. Yes, it is.
And you had that someone with high standards, but who was explaining to you why. So then you would feel like you would be able to then pass that information along because you understand it from the first principles of it.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Well, of course, he had uh, from the beginning on. He also formed his own brother. He had a step brother, and these two were head coaches in London. They had the best skaters at that time, world champions, and we never got to see them because there was no TV. So sometimes we had a new rink and they were invited to do a show, And then we saw some champions, but it's not nowadays that you can open the TV and you can watch everything, and you can even tape it and put it in slow motion to copy maybe something. But the good thing about the system, it was not based on special gifted skaters that do things. They could do it also with somebody else, you know. It was based on normal talented kids.
Mm-hmm.
It was a system that is for everybody, that's for sure.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
What was it like for you going to the Olympics? Because I think you competed in 1964, is that right?
Yes, that's right. Yes, that's right. Well, that was a big, that was almost a miracle because I wasn't the champion in this country, but we had pre-Olympics because they needed to give the names. And in this pre-Olympics, I skated well and I was selected. And then when the Swiss championship came, I got only fourth place. So I said to myself, they will never send me. But the president said, no, no, we had pre-Olympics and you did it. Now we have to, you can go. And of course, this was exciting, but it was also, it made me very nervous because in the Swiss championship, until then, we had 20 to 50 spectators. And there you step out and there are 18,000. You think, my God, I cannot do this. This is not, this is very impressive, I must say. It was very impressive. But I'm very happy that I could do it. Of course, I was not as successful as Stéphane. But what I think, we were already 24 then, and they're still 24 now. And now we have 5,000 times more skaters that do this, or even more than 5,000 times, and always the same places. And I think this is so not correct. Should be more spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, it's a lottery if you make it or not. I mean, it's like if you would have done all the cars and not the motorways, we could not pass anymore.
Yeah.
I think ISU should really look for more spaces, and they should change the name. We still, the figures are gone. We call it figure skating. Figures are gone 30 years, 34 years ago. I would love it. I would love to have another name, or if I would be younger, I even would like to create a new world association and to put this word artistic in it, you know. And then we could divide it. Then would have more space for people with jumps and people who do the jumps just because they fit to the music. Yeah, we have many skaters that are very artistic, but when they miss a jump, they are somewhere not even in the first 10. And this is a bit a pity, you know. We could do also top jump,
Yeah.
top spin. We had that at one point, top jump and top spin. Even when I was young, that existed.
Mm-hmm.
We could do it. I mean, I see this in other sports and in gymnastics now at the Olympics. You see that they have for every specialty they have a title, and would be exciting also. Yeah. Well, but I'm too old now. I hope I will discuss it with Stéphane if he goes a bit in the same direction, I think.
I think he does have some of those same ideas, and I've heard from a number of people. I think there's a lot of interest in changing the format in some way, or and that's, I think, an interesting question of in what way is this trying to get back to some other, like, earlier idea of skating, or evolving, and some combination of those things. But I'm curious whether you think that we've lost something not having figures, or does that not seem as important to you?
The figures were actually like the ABC in school, and then they made out of this a discipline, which was could be also made in an exciting way. You could film on the screen with the machines that we have. We could see the blade, how it does it. It was amazing what people could do at that time, you know.
Mhm.
And but of course, for the big public, it was not interesting enough. They didn't understand so much. But for the big public, they also don't understand the difference between the jumps.
Yeah.
They see. I can remember I skated in Iran for a show, and we never got any hands for the jumps. So we started to do spins. When we did spins, they got crazy, you know, and or footwork to the music. They loved that. But the jump went so fast, and so we started of making them much more simple
Yeah.
with no risk. Now, of course, the jump can be exciting for the people who know, and the speed can be exciting, and there's many. I think we cannot step really back. We should just make more possibilities. So many kids are fantastic, and you never get to see them even, you know.
Yeah.
If they don't make it into the first three or even just to the top of their country, you don't see them. And we have here an Italian girl. I don't know. Did you have an interview with her, with the Italian girl?
No, I did not.
No, Lara Naki Gutman.
No, she was gone before I came, but I have spoken to her in the past, and
Okay.
she's I think a very special skater.
She is a special skater, and if I watch ladies on TV, it's actually the only program I can remember because it's so special and the ideas are wonderful. But then she misses one or two jumps, and then she is not even considered anymore, which in an artistic championship, she should be on top.
Yes.
Because if they all look the same, you know, you have seen one, you have seen them all. This is also a bit nowadays, as we have everything is stipulated, everything, we are a little bit lost in details, and the people want it's running after points, and they do things that gives points.
Yeah.
And so everybody does more or less the same or tries to do the same thing. And that's a bit of pity for me. I would love to have this different, or then at least create another section. We can do it. ISU can also be the chaperone, but we have a section, artistic section. I asked everybody how it's in their language, how is it called? The Czech people, they say beautiful skating. And I think the Chinese, they say something like virtuose skating. But artistic is only French and German.
Mm.
All the other languages don't use the word art, you know. And if you see what they do, I think it has to be with art.
Yeah, I think that's what draws people to the sport. And then there's a certain almost reticence from people within figure skating to really claim that and maybe try to say, oh, you know, no, we are a real sport. We look at how hard the things are that we do. But the thing that makes skating special is that it's unique and has that artistic component.
Yeah. And of course, if it's well done, it looks easy. It's like ballet people. If you watch a ballet, you think, this is easy what they do. You don't see all those years behind these people. You see, and ballet people are never judged with points. They're judged by what they do. And we have this point system running. Sometimes it looks to me like a savings bank. If I do this, I get this point. Yeah. And especially since we get these sheets after the championship, also the parents are involved. Why do they not have level 4 in the spin? Why do you not work on this? You know, this became a bit That's the part that's not so nice. That's not so nice anymore. Well, I hope that maybe somebody younger will find a solution.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interest, or at least a lot of people saying that they would like to see something change, if not maybe yet
Well,
consensus about what the change should look like.
yeah, and of course, since they allow also singing music, I knew it would slip a bit into the, some skaters they chose a music that they like, but it does not mean that it's made for skating. There is special music for skating. It has to be music that you can dance to, because it should be a dance. And if it's not so, it's just background, they could put another music. I remember I had a skater that I liked very much from Finland. And one year she had not a nice music, and I was at home watching it on TV, and I had another music on, so I switched off what she did. I switched off the sound, and my music was better to her program. I told her that. I said, look, I have a music that would be much better, but I think she did not change it. It was, it's hard when they are in these years. They want to exist themselves. They want to, this is my taste. He's an old-fashioned guy. Yeah. But it has to be, as the sport is magical, the music should be magical too. And it's 50% of the success, I'm sure. Yeah. Because even the public and the judges, they go with when it fits. Yeah. They go with it, that's for sure.
How do you teach the artistic side of the sport? I feel like we put a lot of emphasis on like how do you coach to be able to do those specific elements, but
you have to be first technically very good before you put it. I start always with the feet. It has to work first perfect with the feet, and then you go from there up. And if they can do it technically, then they can add upper body movements. They can add what they feel. If they don't have their own ideas, we send them over to the choreographer, and Salome will help. But even Salome, as a choreographer, I know she first asked them to do what they feel, how they would express it, But of course, you have to be technically a good skater. The technique has to be perfect. I mean, a piano player who does mistake is not an artist. He has to be first technically good before he can add personal interpretation, you see. And that's the same in skating. It has to be really, or you have to make it adapted to their level or to their age also. We have little kids, they come with music that maybe the mom have told them to take, and it's absolutely not possible,
Yeah.
So you have to tell them this is maybe for later on, but not for now.
Yeah. Can build toward things.
Yeah,
yes.
Of course. And it has to be also it has to fit with the physique of the skater, That's my idea. But so I created, when they took the figures away, I created this step program that they will not forget, because they took it away for everyone, not only for the big ones, also for the little ones.
Yes.
And at the beginning, those kids that we had, they still knew about it. But then we had new kids, and the parents did not want to pay for a lesson for something that you don't use later on. So that's why I created the STEP program. And I heard that maybe ISU will bring it out as a learning program, and that would be fine. And So at least they have a bit of an idea of all these elements that we have. Nowadays, we must be careful. I mean, all the jumps and spins are invented on edges. We have edges. And nowadays, I see very often straight lines, straight lines, straight lines. So as a judge, I could say, but it's not a straight line.
Yeah.
It's an edge. An edge is a circle. Of course, there are big circles.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take a part of a big circle, that looks almost straight. But we have really kids nowadays that go, and teachers that teach them on straight lines, which I think is a completely nonsense. And that started with a girl that came from trampoline. She could jump, but she had everything on a straight line and no exit. She had to run away, but she was 5 times European champion because of these jumps. So then came the new judging system, and they explained now it's not only the jumps, everything is taken in consideration. But at the end,
the jumps, then you can get away with not really having the steps as well.
And not only this, but in bringing the time of the music down, made it really not human. I mean, first the boys had 5 minutes, then they brought it down to 4:30. Now it's 4, and with all those jumps that they have to do, and they need preparation, it's almost not human.
Yeah, and it doesn't leave much room for
anything. Of course not. Of course not. That takes so much time to bring in. So I normally teach all those jumps out of footwork, which I think could maybe be used in the programs, you see, instead of just running around and doing a jump. And that's it. So you have kids, they have rhythm, and you have others, they don't even hear this, but they are physically okay. They can do incredible jumps, but it's very difficult to understand really what I want to say, but probably
Well, the two things that I was thinking about, partly I was thinking very much about what it was like watching the masterclass that you were teaching and seeing how there was the difference between the skaters that I know work with your warm-up exercises and are familiar with it, and then some of the skaters that was new, who maybe are doing very well in competition and have lots of those skills, and yet doing this combination of steps was really challenging for them, and they were really having to change. And so it was really fascinating to see that how something so basic could be really challenging, even for a skater that maybe by all of the external measurements that we have, you think that they're clearly they are past that point. No, they're not past it. There's still so much that they could be learning from working on it.
Of course. And it has to be, it should be done with music, with the rhythm. And I found out when they do it together, when they do it 4 together, the one that's not so good can always a bit watch the others. They can follow. It's a bit less boring than when they have to do it alone. But I do this also. I did a seminar in Poland and in Berlin, and they are very happy about that. And then sometimes you put 4 kids together, sometimes 8, and then it makes more sense. Of course, what was the nonsense of figures at the end, it was just the design who counted. At the very beginning, it was the way you did it. You got also marked by how you did it. And then people started to use a scribe and follow the scribe, and then of course it started to be gymnastic. And at the end we were were judged by the design we left on the ice. And so it went also a bit wrong at the end. That's for sure. Yeah. But anyway, like everything, I think we should remember the beginning. It's very important that we remember the beginning. So I also tell the kids a bit about the people who invented the jumps, you know. I start with this Mr. Lutz, who invented this jump that now he would not recognize his jump anymore because it was really on opposite circle. And nowadays, everybody goes straight, and probably for triples and quad, it would be impossible to do it on the circle how he did it. So that's what I meant when I say a circle can be very big and seems to be almost straight when it goes over the rink, you see. So, yeah. But kids I think they should know how it was invented and then adapt it to the modern exigence, what we call in French.
They talk a lot about the way that the rules and what is rewarded then sets up the incentives for what people learn and what they focus on. And so thinking about the judging system and how that then, even the fact that there are only 6 jumps that count as jumps when there are other kinds of jumps that you can do, and so many of these things, then that determines what people work on and what is seen as valuable. So thinking about how to make more value on skating itself, do you think you have to get away from putting these numerical values onto the judging system? Or I guess, how do you think that we should set up the rules to encourage that strength in the basics?
The problem is, I think this step back we cannot do because we were obliged by the Olympic Committee to prove that we can measure it. Because when in the Olympics in 2002, when our president decided 2 couples on first place, because there was so much discussion, and then the president of the Olympic Committee said, no, you have to change and you have to show that it's measurable. So they had this task to make it measurable. But you cannot really measure it. If you do it measurable, you should measure the skater too, because you have this one, you have this one. It's not the same. Otherwise, we just need also the same type of body, then we can compare. But I think we're a bit lost in details. Everything is too much stipulated. Choreographers, they come with books, they have to read what they have to do, and I mean, this is a bit, and it's called free skating. We call it now a long program, but I think some still use short program and free skating, and free, nothing is free, I mean, we are free to do, but if we want to be a part of them, so we have to follow these rules. I would love that they do less and less of these details, that we are not lost in details, and we get every year more and more details, and impossible stuff. And also, there are figures that we should not encourage by giving levels, because we know it's bad for the health of the skaters. I mean, this Billman position is not for everybody. It's very flexible people maybe go away with it. But if you are not so flexible and you want to do this, it ruins your spine. I can remember when she did it in World Championship, there was an organization of chiropractors in Zurich, and they all got together and they made a picture out of a skeleton that does the Billman spin and told her, stop doing this spin. It's not good for the spine. But then everyone wanted to see the spin, when she came, and she did not do. Today she did not do her spin. So this is a sort of bit. We get points to do it. We get a level, and if you're free because you're flexible, but you don't get any level, maybe some kids would step away. I would not do it. Yeah. And it's the same in pair skating with the thrown jumps. When they throw the girl away, the girl, if she does a jump that's long and wide, if she does it on her own, then she has also the strength to hold it. Yeah. But if she is thrown away from then, and so many girls were injured, and you could not see them anymore when they started to do this. And I still think there are many that get, their knees are killed by these things. And it should not get so much point, then they would not do it. But of course, it's spectacular. And nowadays, I think what they do with allowing a backflip and cartwheels and gliding over the ice on the knees, and maybe in a few years we don't need the skates anymore. We can do it in gymnastic shoes. that is the point. Then that was this European champion. She did the program in a gymnastic room with gymnastic shoes with her music, and it looked the same on the ice. So I said she doesn't need the skate anymore. So this is the point that I think we should at least still use the skate, but also the skates changed a lot. Mm-hmm. We have this many proposed light blades, light shoes. Everything should be light, like mayonnaise and yogurt. Mm-hmm. And they make so much noise, these light skates, because they're empty inside. And it irritates me when they come out and they make so much noise, when they just skate around. I think like hockey players, they make noise because they have these empty blades, but we should not make any noise. The good ones don't. It's hard. You can hear a bit of the blade, but not the way you can hear it nowadays. So they put the music very loud that you cannot hear this noise, you see. This is another part. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to go back to something that you said about what you learned from your coach, and then what I definitely see that you did as a coach in terms of allowing autonomy and the skaters to sort of be self-motivated and develop that for themselves. And it seems like that must have been at times very challenging to have students that maybe if they're not going in the direction you want them to go. How were you always somebody who had that kind of patience to allow your skaters to develop kind of themselves in the way they needed to go?
Well, I proposed it. You have pupils, they don't want to listen, or they want to show you something that they did themselves. And I was always watching. But I explained when they want to go further, if I could see a possibility that they could go further, then I would say, look, it is important that you listen. It takes more time to do it correct, but then you can build up from there on. And sometimes you have kids, they're limited. They do it with pleasure, for their pleasure. They will never be great skaters. Sometimes these people can give you also a lot of satisfaction, because you can bring them to a point that they would not have reached themselves. Mm-hmm. But if you see somebody like Stéphane, who had a very great talent, I could see it from the beginning on. Mm-hmm. He was more than just a talent, and he was interested. And I told him when he was little, you have to correct yourself, because we're not always together. And you have to know what you're doing wrong. And sometimes, even if you know what you're doing wrong, it does not work immediately. You see?
Yeah.
If it would work immediately, it would work immediately for everybody. Then it would be something easy. And that I learned from some English ice dancers. I was very friendly with Tobel and Dean. And I know how many times Jane said to Chris, I cannot do this, it's impossible. And he said, then you must do it because it's impossible. Now, you see it's not for everyone that you can be like this. But I think I have patience until the skater gets really rude. Then I don't want to. Then I turn myself and I go and have a coffee.
Yeah.
I never actually fight it with kids. It's very, very rare that I raise my voice and I scream, and it makes me even nervous because it's not my type. But Stefan was very hurt when I left him for another pupil when he had some years where it was not easy. And so sometimes I said, no, I don't want to have an ulcer in my stomach. So I don't want to have a fight, that's for sure. Yeah, no, I think. But then, of course, we have the other coaches. I see some colleagues of mine that are very strong and screaming. And I found out that maybe these kids are more afraid from the coach than from the jump that they have to do, or from the element they have to fulfill. Could be a system, but for me it's a bit terror. I don't like terror.
Yeah, I remember Dennis saying that, sort of comparing the more like Russian style coaching that he had, and then coming to work with Stéphane, that it was the difference between, it's easy to go do what you're told to do and not think. And that gets you to a certain point, but then you're an adult and you need to think, and so suddenly you have to learn how to be able to not only rely on someone else.
Yeah, this is for sure. Because finally, when they go out, they're alone.
Yeah.
So they have to be trained that way that they can do it also alone. And my coach, my last one, he in the championship, he was not at the barrier. He went up and he said, now you have to do it. You do what I said. And it was also very new for me because all the other coaches were always there at the barrier, making sure that we do what they, and he just left. He said, no, you're now all on your own. But I think it's good. The problem is nowadays they have a lot of competition, even regional, local and regional, what we did not have before. We did not have any Grand Prix, there were very few international championships. So when you missed it, you had to wait almost another year. And nowadays they have, it's good that they have a lot of possibilities to train, and you can say, okay, this weekend was not good. I can make it better maybe in 2 weeks, you see.
Do you think that kind of competition is helpful for motivation for kids?
It's helpful also as an experience, how do I react when I am suddenly in front of these judges, and then you have kids, they lose 50% of their possibilities, and you have others, they gain a bit. And Stefan was on the other side. He gained in front of the public and in front of judges. I can remember we had a European championship in Lausanne, and 2 weeks before, nothing worked. So I said, let's not go. He said, no, I want to go. And there was a week without mistakes because he needed this new situation and he needed the people to watch. And we had one championship in Innsbruck that was empty because it was during the week. It was an Alpen Cup, and there he skated not well because nobody was there to just these judges. And he still won, and he said, "I'm not going out. I don't deserve to win." I said, "You were not the best. You were the least worst." Because the
Sometimes
others
that's how
were
it
even
goes.
worse. So there was no way he wants to go. Yeah.
Yeah, but that also shows how much his own motivation
Yeah,
was driving him, not
yeah.
only the placement in the competition, but the feeling of it.
Yeah. He was very self-critical, that's for sure. No. And he still is. I mean,
We could see that even watching the practices today, that he
yeah,
is
yeah,
still
yeah.
driving himself very, very hard, harder than anyone else.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. No, this will never change. He had always this motivation. A few times he said, "I'm not made for this sport. I have to give up. But of course, he wanted to hear something else. No. But it's funny because when he became better and better, I saw the possibility that he could make it. But I said, from a small country, what can we do? I mean, normally, if you are not from Russia or from Japan or from America or Canada, you're a bit less considered. And so we were lucky. We were lucky that everything worked out well in time, in the good places. Yeah.
Yeah. And so now I'm just so impressed that you have continued to give so much of your passion for this sport, that you're still coaching, that you're still really a part of this community here, and that's continuing. I really was thinking about this, seeing you work with Koshiro and then seeing him sort of leading some of the younger skaters, that you could see how much of this legacy is continuing. But what keeps you passionate about skating and motivated to stay in this world?
I am actually flattered that the people still want to listen to what I have to say. And it's also, I cannot imagine sitting around and just being retired and doing nothing. This was always my sport, and as long as I can do it, I hope I can do it until the bitter end, of course. And it also, I need to keep up a bit. I have to do gymnastic, otherwise I could not do it anymore. But anyway, first of all, and second of all, I can use the money, that's for sure, because the pension for independent people in Switzerland is very small. So I think I was lucky all my life to earn money with something that I like to do.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And of course, now I don't have this high level skaters anymore, but I still follow them. And yeah, it's wonderful that I can be a part, and I hope they still want me. I never know when is the end. Every year I think, okay, they ask me that there is an ISU seminar in Berlin. And this is now for the 15th year that I go there. And every year is a surprise when they ask, would you come back? And so lately I had two Austrian coaches and they said, may we ask you, how old are you? And I said, I'm only 82. So they were laughing only, of course. But I mean, I have colleagues, they are much older and they're still there.
Yeah.
Mr. Michin has 1 year more. Mrs. Moskvina has 1 year more.
Yeah.
And I have a very good contact with her. She came to see me 3 weeks ago here. And and she is still the same. She's working. And why not? Why not? But we never know when is the end, that's for sure.
Yeah. The question I always like to end with, and it's very open-ended, so make of this what you will, is what do you hope for from the future of figure skating?
Well, I hope that people don't totally forget the beginning. And as I said, for the future, I would say we have to change this name. As figures are gone, we have to find a name in every language that's more or less the same, that means the same. That would be great. And I also hope that they will open it to more people. At one point we had Finale A, Finale B. There were more skaters, but then they said the TV doesn't want that. But I mean, who cares about the TV? At least you can participate. Maybe they don't, they bring just the last few groups. But I would hope that they think about it because we are so many. There's so many skaters. And I hope also that we will have more peace in the world, that we can see all of the skaters, not just a part. That would be nice too. And I still hope that we should not mix politics and sport. That should be really something completely separate. But I hope that it will still be Olympic. Yeah, we will, I'm sure we will see more exceptional skaters. I have a little boy that I have very great hopes in Geneva. He's one of a big talent, and Stéphane knows him also. He is born in Switzerland, but from Canadian parents. Both of the parents are Canadian. And his sister started, and he starts now, and he has the same talent as Stéphane had at this age. So we have big hopes in that boy, and I'm sure there are many good skaters all over the world. And maybe we should also make a new category to put the former champions into, like masters, you see.
Yeah.
And that they don't stay there forever and block the places, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That was before, when I was young, the world champion, when he was once world champion, he left for the show because there was no money. So they had to earn money. So we had every year a new champion, which is also not bad. It gives more possibilities, you know. Like if somebody is in a telephone box and telephones all the time and the other one have to wait, it looks a bit like that. So let's hope that they find a solution to put then champions against champions.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Yeah, it would be a space to have all kinds of interesting competitions too.
Of course, if the people want to see always the same people, then they can watch the masters.
Yes. Thank you so much, Peter. It's been great to
Thank
learn
you,
from
Anna. It was wonderful to speak to you.
Thanks again to Peter for joining the podcast. You can find the transcript and links to other resources in the show notes and description. You can reach me with comments or suggestions for topics and people I should talk to by email at fsfuturepodcast@gmail.com or on Instagram and Blue Sky at FutureFSPodcast. If you appreciate the podcast, you can also support my work with a tip jar at futureoffigureskating.pinecast.co. Remember to subscribe to The Future of Figure Skating on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts and share it with your friends.